It's curious. What I just learned is that there is so much we covered in earlier Universalis explorations that we could probably come back to some of those and bring them up to date. That's what I just learned in the last few minutes. And so, but let me now take this to explore certain Universalis premises, really recapitulating the journey we are on and stating in perhaps simpler language some of the core ideas, core premises here, and then use that as a platform to develop a pathway. Well, so the first and central premise we are inviting is that these are the early days of the emergence of a new upgraded Universalis human model. It's a huge, big statement. In a way, I don't need the rest of the slides. We can stay with that one line. Although everything we are doing in the Universalis Project is an effort or an endeavor to substantiate this, or to paint this, or to build a cathedral of that actuality from so many different angles. More than anything, it's an intuition, it's a perception, it is also a realization that when, as I describe time and again in the soul portals into the soul work, we are not going to be able to solve the problems and the convergence of challenges that we generated, which we call the metacrisis, through the same mental model, the same mindset that created these problems. So the question is, where will a new mindset arise? Well, it will arise from a new model of life. That's an exoteric way to perceive the Universalis model. What we are primarily looking at is the more mesoteric and esoteric ways. But the exoteric point of view is that the realities on the planet and what humanity is confronting in the material life, in the practical life, in the life of the planet, in the energies, in the geopolitics. Those crises will not be able to be solved in the current paradigm of life. There'll have to be some fundamental change, and I believe that one of the reasons we are describing the Universalis Project now is because we've entered what may be a decade or several decades of the beginning of the next 1,000 years. So perhaps the emergence of a new model of life is a 1,000-year journey, and we are in the early days of that unfolding. And then the reason that the invitation to contemplate or to realize that the upgraded human model involves and brings online latent capacities, latent sense organs, and latent sense-making and perception processes. So that's been central to even what we started with, and part of the reason why we reflected on these 7 deadening persuasions to say, hey, guess what? We're not going to be able to assimilate or describe this purely through the lens of the intellect only. You're going to have to bring other dimensions of your sensitivity, your sensibility, your other latent faculties. And as you do so, you are engaging some of what has become dormant because of the nature of the last few centuries, and also you're potentially activating what is now becoming accessible. And thirdly, that to facilitate the emergence of the Universalis model, humans, as we indeed said in the beginning, need to create space. And the way you create space is you engender increasing interior conductivity. And actually, they work in tandem. So conductivity creates space, and space allows for increasing conductivity. And I will get to describe in a little bit more about what we mean by conductivity, but the placeholder to begin with is to consider that when we describe interior conductivity, we're truly describing the interior spaces and dimensions and capacities with which there is creative and connective powers that are being unleashed. And that when we describe the universalis potential, we are inviting that which has been the holy grail of people from the beginning of time, when people in different times talk about searching for the muse and wanting to be available for the inspiration. Well, they were describing sometime in their unique way how they were searching for the space of inner conductivity where something else could join them. Indeed, something else could join them. And throughout the ages, we looked at these people as the special ones, as the few famous people we know in the arts or in any really other space of human expression, statesmanship and leadership. And we saw them to be the geniuses of the age. And what we're truly describing and inviting in the Universalis context is now we've entered the time where the natural latent genius that's locked in every person can actually come online. It doesn't mean that there will not be still people who will really shine in an extraordinary way and become a source of inspiration for many. It doesn't mean that there is no space or need for leaders and teachers in different spaces. Of course there is a space and a need for that. The distinction is they will not, if they do their job well, no longer will it be that their inspiration is all there is. Rather, their inspiration is offered as a way to catalyze and unlock and liberate the inspiration and potential in and for others. And fourthly, that we are therefore called to transcend and release the self-imposed limitations, the polarizations, the limiting persuasions we reflected on the beginning, and all that affords or creates for the human stop situations. I put stop situations in quotations. It's a name we give to anything and everything that becomes a blockage to the natural evolution, natural unfolding, natural liberation of the human faculty in its capacity to become available for inspiration and new knowledge and all that really is seeking to parlay with the human experience. And so therefore what we're describing here, that on this Universalis journey, we are learning to embrace and integrate new ways of metabolizing knowledge, new ways of metabolizing experience, and that these, as you both highlighted in the very beginning, open, therefore, pathways, open and activate faculties to metabolize knowledge in new ways and to metabolize new kind of knowledge, including metabolize old and ancient knowledge inside a context where what supposedly was old knowledge, esoteric knowledge, becomes activated in a whole new way because it is metabolized and processed by new faculties that are coming online. And that, therefore, what we ought to consider is, so when we talk about human cultivating interior conductivity, we are also saying that the human cannot change itself. We cannot change ourselves by ourselves. We can try hard and make small adjustments, but really, having now spent the entirety of my adult life, more than 45 years in this as the project of my life, I can now feel that I can say with confidence and offer the testimony that to catalyze upgrade and to catalyze change, to catalyze evolutionary change, humans need to connect and commune with the sources, the inspirations, the transformative potencies and powers, those that carry upgrading conductivity. So we're talking about the interior enhanced and augmented conductivity, and one that then invites and connects and communes with the luminescent, more than human realms that we say more than human, but these are realms that lives inside and with humans because they find their joy and liberation in and through us. And when I say those realms, I'm describing in a very loose and general way the invisible realms of the kind of translucent, rarefied spiritual energies that we're never meant to be without, we're never meant to be separated from, we are always meant to be immersed with. And the suggestion is that a universalis life is a life that attunes and liberates. That why universalis? Because these are the higher, finer realms of universal life, and in the context of the universalis journey that we described earlier on, through the various stages of the epoch, we are now in the initiatory phase on the journey from a planetary human to a solaris human, now to a universalis human, such that the universe at large can be birthed and get its fuller expression in and through humanity and through the planetary theater.